Say she wants some Marvin Gaye, some Luther Vandross, a little Anita, but definitely set this party alright. Oh.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Love, Marriage, and Everything in Between, Countertop Talk.
You got it right.
Chef Shan,
I'm DTP.
and we're at episode 11.
We did it.
Yeah, I'm so proud of us.
Every week when we do it, it's funny because we're consistent. So
Yes.
didn't seem like we'd be able to do it with our schedules, but we're making it happen.
Yeah, babe. And also, remember we was just talking about this for the longest time, and it never got off the vision board. So I'm just so happy that it's off the vision board. We're making progress. We even been doing like little shorts and stuff like that. So I'm just,
Absolutely.
I'm proud of us.
Our team is a great team.
Oh yeah, of course.
So a lot going on this week. Pacers lost the finals. I thought they was going to win it. The U.S. is at war right now, which is crazy to even talk about.
Yeah.
And just hoping people are finding a way to have peace in everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, peace, and just don't take any time for granted. Not a day, not an hour, because it's crazy times right now.
And I think it's going to be different from like young people too, because this may be a lot of people's first time living during the war. If you think about it, a lot of those kids that was born in the 2000s, right?
Yeah, I mean, because when we were growing up, we had the Iraq War and stuff like that. It was a long war.
But the war on ISIS, with ISIS, was that a war?
ICE. It wasn't like how it was when we was growing up, Desert Storm and all of that, and that was Colin Powell, all of that. It was just a lot.
They're saying this has the potential to be World War III. So prayerfully it won't, but it'll probably be a lot of babies made because a lot of people gonna be hunkering down, loving on each other, loving on your family.
As you should.
And take one day at a time. So let's start off this week on a lighter note. Would you say that at this age, are you more of a person that is more interested in gifts or in experience at your current age?
Wow. I would say for me, the experience. I would prefer the experience. What about you?
I would say experience.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you say that?
Because I can get what I want, myself, but with you, you're providing experience. You know me, you know what I like, and a gift is a gift,
Right.
So, but an experience is something that you're always going to remember. I have a lot of gifts that you have brought me that's just is in my closet. Whereas though the memories, us doing different things, to me it lasts longer.
Okay.
And more heartfelt.
20 years ago, what would that answer have been?
The bangle to die for.
Boy, that Tiffany's bracelet, you was ready to risk it all for that, man. Golly.
This is what Christmas.
We almost ain't make it.
Yes, I told him specifically I wanted this bracelet, and then you come home with something else, some earrings.
And I went back to the jewelry store. I got a bracelet.
Yes, I did not ask for this, sir. You can get me what I asked for. Yeah. So that was the beginning, our beginning relationship stuff.
But I had to teach you how to get gifts.
What's your name?
Because back then I told you, what was my, it was one thing I think one of your friends said. I said, I like things that's memorable. And, because your gift game is crazy now. But 20 years ago, you were more so, I was saying, experiences as well. But it was, I think that first year, and I told you, I would like to see what was it that a doctor told you, and I told you I would prefer to have something that I can remember you by.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm very
Now or
particular.
later? We're talking
No,
about
no,
20.
I'm talking
Okay.
about back then and now. Like I
Mhm.
want what I want. I I like what I like, and even with that, with me giving somebody a gift, I'm not going to give somebody a gift that I want them to have. I'm gonna give somebody a gift that I know that they want. Okay,
That's true, and I
you
think
know.
that's where I messed up at.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
and
That's true.
you're just getting on the train. Like now, you
I'm
automatically.
not just getting on it. I know what you want.
No, we got into a little situation a couple of years ago because I told you I wanted something and you was like, well, why you want that? Like, let me, like, what? Like, it's
Well,
my
a surprise.
birthday.
Yeah, I was trying to surprise you, but yeah.
But I mean, like, when it comes to you, I don't play, Wiz, though. I know what you like, I know what you want, and I'm gonna give you what you want. I'm not gonna, oh, well, why you want this and all of that. I'm gonna give you what you want.
Okay, miss.
Okay, and yours?
My what?
What do you prefer? A gift or experience? You said that you like the
I would say
experience.
now experiences.
So
When
you
I
wanna
was
elaborate?
Yeah, when we were younger, I liked gifts because I wanted to see how you was gonna bring it. I was still testing you, like low key. But
While we was married?
yeah, no, I mean, we got married after
Yeah, so
like 7 months.
you
So.
doing the testing during the marriage?
No, because remember in the beginning, I thought you was a tight sniper. You wanted to spend no, you wanted to
I have
no
never.
buffalo wings, flats, things like that. I'm going from
Yes,
my
bro.
early. Hold up. It you like most women, and it's understandable. You wanted what you wanted, and you wanted gifts. But as we grew older, and I'm even saying like year one through, once you were locked in, it was more so like you never spared a cost for spending with me.
Wrong. Flag on the play.
All right, talk
So
to me.
I remember you and like a childhood friend had got into it one Christmas, our first Christmas
Oh,
together,
okay,
because I
okay.
bought you so much, so many items, and their
Right,
girlfriend bought them
you
like
did.
Madden or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
like, oh, she got me this, she got me that, she
yeah,
got me this.
yeah.
Like
But that's what I'm
I have
saying.
always been a good gift giver.
Right, but you also like to receive.
Yes.
However, I will say I'm more into experiences now, but I could go for a gift too because no, I mean you bring it. You bring it. So like I'm not gonna turn down one of your gifts. But I also know when you plan out vacations, it's like TripAdvisor on steroids. So I'll take either or, but I think I would prefer experience.
You're so
Note to
funny.
self. You got that?
Yeah, I got it, baby.
All right. So what we talking about this week?
Okay, well, before we get into the topics, how was your week?
It was a good week. It was a very good week. Um, Great week in the gym. Great week with the diet that we kind of maintain. And I'm ready for this week too. I'm ready to hit the gym even harder. We got a trip coming up in the next week or so. So it was a good week. How about you?
Same for me, great week. We actually been killing it in the gym. I would like for us to start doing like videos of both of us in the gym together. I think that'd be pretty dope. We can put on our YouTube page because how you look, people probably don't even know the type of things you do in the gym. You're very intentional in the gym, and I think that'd be pretty dope. Pretty dope. As for me, I do a lot of like weights. I do a lot of weights. So I think that'd be pretty cool.
When
But
you want to start your journey as a bodybuilder? You said you said you always dreamed of that, and you ready for it. So when you want to start?
I'm not quite ready for it
I think you're
yet.
ready.
Because it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. Intentional,
It's really the kitchen part.
but it's getting further along on my list to handle, but I'm gonna do it.
By episode 20.
I don't know, but I'm gonna do it. I definitely see the path towards it, but I I gotta get my mind right, because with that, you really have to be intentional with eating, measurements, supplements, so yeah,
Your
I'm doing
supplement game is crazy. We got supplements coming every day.
it.
Like, we about to need a new cabinet because the things you got coming in is like crazy right now. What was that big bag you had that you mixed with that shake that you didn't drink? But you had a big bag of powder that came.
What was that? It was like a probiotic, something like that. Something for the digestive system.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do today, we're going to get into the topics here. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do the 3 things to keep a marriage spicy. I'm going to do my 3 things, and then you do your 3 things. Okay. And what I would like to do, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to do like the number 1 last. Okay. So I'm going to do my number 1
Yeah, 'cause I gotta
last.
think about that.
Okay. And you do your 3, 2, 1. But
Okay.
I'll start off
Okay.
ladies first. Okay.
Cool.
So 3 things to keep your marriage spicy. So number 3, I have date nights. I think date nights are very important. That was an area of opportunity for me that you actually brought up. I think it was in 2020 during the pandemic, because we always do things with our young men. I always say the boys, the wife be mad, I say the boys, but we never went on like a trip together by ourselves. It was always the 4 of us. So I believe it was during a pandemic, we went to Jamaica. Dwight was the worst husband during this trip because you didn't want the boys to come.
I did not.
And you was just like so.
It was 2019.
It was 2019?
When we started dating again, because when the pandemic hit, it kind of slowed us down.
Yes, and you was just like so mad during the trip. And I was like, babe, this is going to be the last trip we're going to do, the 4 of us. I said, we're going to have fun. It's going to be the last trip. And after that, it's just going to be me and you. Oh my gosh, that trip was not a good trip. It's just like the whole trip you complaining. I wanted the boys to go with us. What was that R&B night? He was like, why they gotta go to R&B?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they did have some time where they were kind of old enough to hang on a resort by themselves, which was cool. But it's like, nah, I'm not trying to hang with them in Jamaica. And your thing was breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. We do that at home. So
yeah. So that's why I had that on number 3, because that was an area of opportunity for me, ladies, because it was just like always the 4 of us. And that's how I wanted. I never really took my husband's feeling into consideration, where as though he wanted one-on-one time. It was just like all of us. It's all of us or none of us go. And I'm glad we do have that type of relationship to communicate, because you're like, yo, I want to date my wife. I want to, it's just like, everything is the kids, because everything really do be like the kids, kids
just
with me.
overdrive, mom. But I get it. In your defense, I get it, because I always wanted a family. You weren't really looking to have kids, but phenomenal mother.
Yeah, but I fell in love with my kids when I had them. I just fell in love with them.
But there comes a time where you have to separate. You got to keep things fresh, because like we say, we lost ourselves a lot of our kids' childhood because everything was about them, and we get it. And we had fun. We had fun. So dating again was something that I felt like we needed. We needed our space,
Yeah. Okay. So, you need some water?
I'm good right now.
Okay. All right. So so before I go to number 2, so date night, ladies, make sure that you are continuing to do the things that you did prior to having kids. Even though it may be hard to juggle husband, kids, work-life balance, carve out time to date.
Because you don't want your husband in the transfer portal.
For sure. Okay, number two. Number two is something that we used to do a lot before we had kids. Do you know what that is? Keep things a little spicy. We used to do it all the time.
Role play?
Role play.
Okay.
Okay, so we used to do that all the time before we had kids, and then afterwards,
Boredom came. Severe boredom.
I wouldn't say severe.
Yeah, it wasn't severe. But
It wasn't
was
severe,
boredom.
but it was just like, okay, wait until you go to get in the bed to have sex, and nothing really spontaneous. It's just like routine. So
yeah, we were moving like old heads.
Yeah.
Late 20s.
Yes. So I would definitely say that's something that we have started back doing now, getting back into the things that we did pre-kids, just keeping things spicy. We do a lot of things together, like day trips, this, that. So we're getting back into that old groove, and I'm so proud of us.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah, I'm so proud of us. It's kind of like,
you got to think, we only had November 03, December, January, February. We only really had a year together before we had our first child, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 months, because we started dating in November 15, and DJ was born the January after. So we only really had 14 months prior to having children that we were able to really explore. But we did some things in that 14 months.
Yeah,
Went to LA, proposed to you in LA.
Yeah, we did a lot of good things, and we had a lot of fun during that short time, But yeah, so with the role play, something that we used to do, used to like for me to be the cop. We used to have costumes and stuff like that. That used to be so fun. So it's like now my husband want me to be a stripper, and I want him to be a UPS man. So just to give y'all some ideas, so that's what we do. Just think of something with your husband, something that he may like, fantasy or whatever, and vice versa. Just keep it spicy. Okay. Number three. No, I'm sorry. Number one. This is my number one, and this is kind of like, I don't know if some people would say this will keep it spicy, but to me, spiciness for me is a high intimacy level. I'm very turned on with knowledge and information. I know it may sound weird, but information turns me on. Like, I like to hear about.
So you like computers and AI?
No, information, like when you tell me stuff about your childhood, when you tell me stuff. No. All right, let me back up, because you try to get saying.
No, I want to understand.
Okay, so all right, so my number one point is get to know your spouse.
Okay.
Get to know your spouse. Who is the person you married outside of their title? So in our case, who is my husband outside of the title of husband, father? Who is he? What are the type of things that he likes to do? What moves him? What impact him during his childhood to make him move a certain way? When you know someone intimately at a high level, you are able to tap into different things. I'm able to tap into you mentally, emotionally, sexually, because I know so much about you.
I see what you're more so like the new things that you're learning. Like, you know the obvious things, where I grew up, what I like to eat, but then when we have conversations.
Yes, deep conversations. I know what triggers you. I know what turns you on. I know what turns you off. So, number one, you got to get to know your partner outside of kids, outside of what they do for a living, to provide an income or whatever. What does that person like to do besides being a husband, being a father, being a manager or business owner, what do they like to do?
Yeah,
You know?
and to clear that up, yeah, I understand what you're saying now because I didn't understand. If anybody watching and say, "Well, man, you don't know your husband after 20 years, you don't know your wife." Of course, we definitely know each other in and out, but through random occurrences, whether it's a show, whether it's somebody that we see, it triggers conversations that we may have never had. So I think it was something recently, and I made mention of why I never watched a lot of, like, I don't watch movies. But then to hear that a bad experience with a movie that I never took to movies again is like, oh, now I get it. So I think that's important. I think that's a good point too, is underestimated.
Yeah, because when you get to know your spouse at a high intimate level, you're just able to tap into different things, and yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what's your
So
what's your three?
I've been thinking, I didn't have time to prepare. So number 3, I guess I would say different looks. You know what I mean?
What you mean by that?
So just like
To keep things spicy, different looks, like different hairstyles.
different hairstyles.
Woo!
Like I tell you, I like when you wear your hair curly, when it's wet, when it's wavy. I like that. I like when you wear it straight. I know you used to wear it real long before you decided to cut it. So I think it gives you a different look of your spouse, opposed to the same old thing, every day. Number 2, I think I would say continue to evolve with your spouse. Don't stay in the same place. So for me, we were recently talking about this. I don't know how a couple can coexist if, like, let's just use fitness for one. You have a spouse that's a gym rat, but then you're not working out, right? So I know you were saying, well, maybe that spouse don't like working out. But if you see your spouse is doing something to better themselves, you should be doing something to better yourself. So fitness may not be your thing, but maybe you're educating yourself on something further. Like I know for you, you read a lot, or, you're always tackling a new objective. So we're both motivated people, but sometimes that motivates me to get on my high horse and figure out what's the next thing I want to conquer. What's the next thing that I want to challenge myself with? So I think the evolution of your spouse should also translate to the evolution of yourself, if that makes sense.
Okay, so you're saying for you, seeing your spouse be a go-getter or tapping into different things turn you on? It's a turn on?
Yeah,
okay.
because like if I'm elevating and then you're elevating, like I don't just want a trophy. You know what I mean? When I was young, I wanted a trophy. I wanted somebody to just look good, had basic values. But at this age,
I don't like when you say that. You keep saying, I
what?
You always say that. I didn't want a trophy. I don't want a trophy. I didn't want just like a pretty face. I'm pretty. Like,
Of course you're pretty, dude.
You keep wording like, I didn't want a trophy. I don't like how you phrase that.
Yeah. Well, at one point in my life before you, that's what I was looking for, right? However, yes, you are beautiful, babe. But what the point that I'm making is that for me, if I'm moving at a very high frequency and I have a woman that's moving at a very high frequency, such as yourself, yeah, that does turn me on, because it's like, yeah, we're about to, like, we've done everything. We go after it together. So I want someone moving at a very high frequency, always looking to conquer the next objective, like me. I mean, and maybe that's just me being a wiser man now, but Yeah.
So you would say, your spouse keeping you on your toes, keeping you, motivated. What is your number two?
No,
So
it's
it's like,
just it's more so my spouse not being complacent.
okay,
That's it. My spouse not being complacent.
okay, that's a turn on.
Absolutely. And I would say number one, um, and I think you've done this very well, is remaining sexy at your age appropriate. I don't think you're trying to look like the young girls, a video vixen, but at the age that you are, you still keep it very classy and very sexy. And
Thank
and
you.
that's keeping it spicy for me. So that's my top three off the cuff. I wish I'd have known the topic. I could have better prepared, but that's what I got.
It's okay. I mean, this was just kind of like,
Impromptu.
yeah,
I get it.
but I mean, I think that makes good for, the podcast, because this is something that we're just, the first thing that come to your mind is also a lot of time is the truth, when you don't
Right.
have a lot of time to really dive deep into something, you're just going off the cup. It's going to be what pops in your head first,
And I think this is a good topic because I think that's what scares a lot of people with marriage is that you think that it's just going to be the same thing every day. You're going to get bored. And to each his own. There's some people that just don't have the tolerance for one person. But if you can keep those things, like I think it was very healthy for us in 19 to start dating again, going to that little small Italian restaurant, having some wine. Great,
Yeah, and I'm gonna definitely give you your props with that, because a lot of times men don't make that initiative. Normally, it's like the woman that makes the initiative. Like, we need to start spending more time together, yada yada yada. But you brought that to my attention. I was just so laser focused on our kids, whereas though it was just like, I'm like, no, what, we taking the kids with us, or, we go out to eat too. This is something else that I would do when we go out to eat. I'm like, let's take the boys back something to eat. So
that right there used to irk the hell out of me. It is not a date. The moment you are telling the waiter to get something for your kids, the date is over. The date is over. That was your go-to until I said, look, we not doing that. We not doing that, man. So like if you are in a relationship and you have children, I understand that mothers are very nurturing, but you have to separate at some point because what I always say, before you were a mother, you were a what?
a wife.
You're a wife. So it's not to say you don't love your children. It's not to say, but we were husband and wife before we were mother and father. So the main thing has to remain the main thing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But I definitely want to give you your props on that, because you don't know, and that's why it's very important to have these conversations with your spouse, so you can know like what you're thinking, what your wife thinking, and things like that. But you did allow me to do this for a lot of years, but it did come to the point where so like, man, they 17 and 15. We don't have to keep bringing them food to eat. We're out to eat. This
Absolutely
is our time.
not.
So, and now they're 20 and 17. So I'm still working on some things to let go, because I'm just like, oh, the program, the boys, the boys, the boys. But at this point, they are young men. So
Gotta let them fly.
So, okay. So going over your list, I did make some notes. You said different looks. You want your lady to have different looks. Your lady being me, different hairstyles, different styles, yada yada yada. Also,
Continue to elevate.
okay. Number 2, continue to elevate, and number 1, to remain sexy. And
At their age.
At their age.
Yeah, because I think some people, and I know for women it's different than men, especially with what you see online. I don't want, however old you are, attempting to be sexy as a 21 or a 22-year-old. I want it at the age that you are. And I think you're doing a good job of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's just like us sometimes men, you'll see men, it's like they can't grow old. You know, you see a 70-year-old man with the hat turned to the side, the 4X t-shirt, the jersey over it, the Timbs untied. Like you can't bring it like that at 70. So it's a different way that you can posture and you know, remain within yourself, stylish or whatever, but age appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but I don't, you know, I noticed that you haven't said my age, and my generation of women, we say our age. I'm 44.
Okay.
And the ladies in their 40s and 50s, you know, because I have a sister that's about to be 50 this year. You know, my older cousin, like 51, 52, like they are really like a bottle of wine, you know.
Yeah, I will say people from our generation
are looking
aging very well.
Looking good, man. Looking
aging
good.
very well.
Yeah, so
I don't know if it was those chicken boxes we had, those Twinkies we had without the preservatives, but people in our generation are looking very well. So good to know that you know. I don't know if you wanted to say that online, but yeah, looking good.
Yeah, I'm proud of my age. So, do you have any? You got some good news. Can you share it now
Which one?
about the webinar?
No, let's finish the deck. But
Okay.
we do have a webinar coming soon. There is a new sales industry, and I will be conducting that webinar. So stay tuned for that. Very, very good information for anybody that may be transitioning, looking for a new career, and why sales has always been demonized, rightfully so. We're going to talk about some ways that you can have success in the sales industry, the new sales industry.
Yes, and I'm so proud of you because sales is needed no matter what.
Absolutely.
You know, genre you're in, vertical you're in, sales is needed. You need to know how to negotiate. You need to know how to talk to people. So I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
You want to be in the class?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So that's it. So we actually went over everything, and
so ladies, if you've been married, couples, husband and wives, if you've been married, you're starting to court your spouse again, don't take your kids anything home from the date. Find that time for yourself, remain in love, continue to do those things you did to obtain that man or woman, and keep it spicy.
you are something else. Until next time, be safe and be blessed. We'll see you next week.
She wants some Marvin Gaye, some Luther Vandross, a little Anita, but definitely set this